Hey guys, what is it, November? I don't know, first week in November. I did a video last year on my brake pads, the front brake pads, when I was doing them, getting the front brake discs, the front brakes. I was just cleaning and servicing them for winter, and I had noted at that time that my brake pads were low, and I had about 15,000 kilometers on them. I've been just seeing how long I can go on them. They're just about down. They're still actually okay, but my discs are getting a little bit of a vibration in them, so I figured I'd do them now. 65,000 more kilometers on those brakes since they were down to 1/3, so not bad whatsoever. So today I'm going to replace the brake discs and the pads, and obviously first thing is take the wheel off, and then we're going to remove the caliper and the rotor. The rotor's held on with one small, what size is it? It's a 5mm, a little bit of a 5mm Allen-headed socket, or hex-headed socket. Excuse my sniffling, it's 0 degrees out. It's been raining for 2 months here in this area of Canada anyway. 2 months of rain, and now it's frickin' 0. Thanks for the fall. Anyway, 5mm, so I'm going to take this off. I'll pull the disc off. I'm going to pull the caliper off, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, now first thing you're going to do is remove the 5mm bolt on there that's keeping the Allen-headed bolt that's keeping the rotor secured. And you want to take that off first, because if that's rusted in and hard to get out, then you can have someone sit in the car and hit the brakes and hold the rotor in place, because else this is just going to spin. Mine's not seized in, so it came out nice and easy. So once this is loosened, then we're going to move on to removing the caliper. 18mm bolts on the top. Right there's one on the top and one on the bottom, two 18mm. Take those out and we'll pull the whole caliper off in a minute. Okay, got one step ahead of myself there, sorry. Before we pull the calipers off, pull out the brake pad wear sensor pin. You just use a pair of needle nose pliers and gently pull it out. Now there's also another 5mm hex-headed Allen bolt on the back that holds the pad wear sensor, I guess the main part of the sensor there. You can just unplug it from here, but I just pull the whole thing out because the electrical line that goes through here has to come off when you're pulling the caliper off, or else you're going to snap it. So just pull that off and set it up out of the way. Come on, go in there. Okay, up out of the way. Oh, that's actually a Torx. That's a Torx head. It looks like about a T25. Anyway, mine came out with a, I couldn't see very well on there, but mine came out with the 5mm Allen-headed, hex-headed bolt. But anyway, for further reference, it's a Torx. I've taken them out before, but I work on so many cars I can never remember what the hell is going on from one day to the next. Anyway, we're going to remove these two 18mm bolts, top and bottom, and yank the caliper off now. Okay, once you've used the 5mm Allen key or hex head to loosen the rotor bolt, leave it partly in, because you'll be able to remove it easily later. Anyway, then use the hex key T40, I think. What size is it? T40 to remove the brake pad wear sensor bolt on the back here. It bolts the wear sensor in. And now we're going to use a 13 and a 15 to take off the outer caliper bracket. Put this camera down. Top and bottom, exact same thing. Remember when you put these back on, this isn't the Trials of Hercules. You're not going for strength records here. Tight is tight. Not, it's not lug nut tight. Anyway, slip this sucker off. Oh, I gotta get a jack stand. Actually, hold on. It's gonna bounce out in a second. We all know by now, never let your caliper hang by the hose, brake hose. Not a good idea. Okay. Again, I apologize a million times over for the light. The camera work today because I'm just rushing because my batteries are all dying here. So we're going to use a C-clamp to compress. I'm going to try and get this from the side. I'm going to try to put this down so you can see me do this. Just going to compress the piston with the C-clamp. If your piston is sticky and not going in fairly easily, if you really have to haul on it, press it all the way in, unwind the C-clamp a little bit, go in the car, pump the brakes, push the piston back out, push it, then again tighten it back in. Do that 3 or 4 times to loosen up the piston. It might be a tiny bit seized, but that usually unseizes them. No, I'm not recommending that as a alternative to replacing calipers. If your caliper is toast, it's toast. Sometimes just a slightly sticky piston can be unfreed that way. Okay, so the piston's back in. Here's the old brake pads. These have, well, they had about double this thickness, so they were about 1/3 of their pad left when I got the car. I figured I could put about 15,000 Ks on them. I did monitor them and watching them to see how far down I could get them. I put 73,000 Ks on them. So these things are toast. But where's the new pads? You'll see when I put the new pads on how much the difference in thickness is. Okay, so now that that's off, in order to pull the rotor off, we have to pull the full caliper mount off, and that's these two 18mm bolts here. Sorry, one's behind the caliper right there. There's an 18 and an 18. So we're going to pull those two off, pull the caliper, the rest of the caliper assembly off the caliper mount, and pull the rotor off. Be back in a second. Okay, simply unbolted the old rotor and bolted on the new one with the new, with the old locator pin in there to hold it in place. It's going to be hard to tighten this until the brakes are on there because it's a little bit tight. And, oh man, it's snowing. I hate life right now. No, I don't. Anyway, I'm going to take the outer caliper mount. I'm going to re-grease the pins. They're good. They're not stiff. Simply pull them up out of the boot. Pop it up. Sorry. Just pop it up. Pull the boot out. Fill that with grease. Push it down. Make sure the boot seals around this lip on the bottom. See, there's a little lip along the edge. Make sure that seals in there, or else water's going to get in there. I'm just going to re-grease those before I put them back on. Back in 2 seconds. Stop recording. Okay, just going to simply try to re-grease the slider pins. Once the mount's off, just simply pull the slider pin out. Clean it off. I'm not going to do it in the camera because I'm kind of trying to do this really fast, but you're just going to pull it off, fill this with grease again, fill the hole where it goes into with grease again, and then stick it back in and make sure that the boot goes around this lip on there again and it's nice and sealed. You'll see when you when you pull on it and the boot doesn't come off, it stays attached. So you just pop that back down. Generally you can just push it on hard enough. Of course that wasn't on camera. Do it again. Usually you can just push it on hard enough and it will pop itself over. So I'm going to re-grease those and be back. Okay, pins re-greased. Put the caliper mount back on. Put the 2 bolts in. I'm just going to be tightening this up. And then we will put the pads in and put the top, the caliper back on. So, I'm wasting time watching me tighten bolts, so I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, caliper mount's back on. Just going to place the new pads in. Sorry, the new ones versus old. There's a bit of yellow. There's a little brake grease thingy inside with the pads, and it had broken open in the box on them. But I got it off the pads. It's just on the backing. It's no big deal. So God, the one-handed monkey. There's the difference. Quite a bit. And I got 80,000, almost 80,000 in total on those pads when I got the car. And the guy hadn't done them for probably 2 years before I got the car, so that's not bad at all. Just setting the brake pads are the exact same, inner and outer are the exact same. And now we're just going to cover the spots where the caliper is going to press on it with brake grease. Keep it from making noise. Don't go nuts. You're not watering the crops, you're just putting a bit of anti-squeal grease back there. And that's it. Now we're going to take the caliper, slide it over. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one hand again. You have to push the pins in to make sure the caliper can get around it. And then make sure that all the springs are underneath. They push the pads down and keep them pushed down. So the springs shouldn't be popped up through the center here. You should see them pushing down like that, and that's perfect. And so we're going to bolt these back up again with the 13mm bolt, holding onto this one with the 15, and back in 2 seconds. Okay, the caliper piston assembly, the main body of the caliper is bolted back on, again with a 13, holding the 15mm and tightening with the 13. Don't tighten the crap out of them, just tighten them nice and snug. Use blue thread locker if you like, if that makes you feel better. Put some blue thread locker on there. Not sure if the factory did or not, but there wasn't any on mine. Anyway, so tighten those things up. Now we're going to replace the pad sensor. The little pin, you'll see there's a little hole inside the pads. So they all have it. You know, these pads you can put anywhere on the car, anywhere on the front. So they're all identical. They've all got the little hole, and then you just slip the pin into the little hole and push it in. So then we're just going to put this oddly enough had blue thread locker on it. Weird. Don't know why. It's not structural. I'm not putting any back on. Somebody probably did that. Some overzealous mechanic probably did that at some point. It would have no reason to have thread locker on it that I can think of. Anybody knows any different? Call me, please. Let me know. Never afraid to learn. T40 tightened back up and back in 2 seconds. Okay, when you put new pads and rotors on, now, yeah, I mean, you can spray this with brake cleaner when I'm done to make sure any of the greasy fingerprints are off of it. Cigarette, sorry. Anyway, I'm going to spray that all off and clean it, make sure there's no grease, because you don't want grease and oil, like is on here, to get onto your brake pads and contaminate them. So you're going to spray that with brake cleaner as a final step before you're done. Also, pump your brakes a few times when you get in the car before moving, because you know, they're not up close to the rotor, and you're going to scare the crap out of yourself when you go to hit the brakes the first time if you just put it in reverse and try and back out or whatever. So pump the brakes a few times, make sure the piston or the pad's snug up against the rotor. You might see snow falling in front of the camera, and a lot of fun that is. So anyway, I'm just going to continue on, put my snow tires on, and that's about it. Oh, don't forget, the brake dust boot also retains the wire for the pad sensor, pad thickness sensor. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.